Hi everyone, it's Deb. Um, this is a little bit of a different video. I was watching some videos this morning. I tend to go to people's channels and binge watch them, and then I go around to somebody else and binge watch. And so anyway, I somehow got behind watching Brandy's channel, Left-Handed Crafter. I'd seen a recent one, but I missed some, like 6 videos in between. So I was looking for a specific one. I know I had seen her do like a review on markers, which I still didn't go back and check now. But I think it was markers. Anyway, Left-Handed Crafter tagged me on October 3rd, and I apologize, Brandy, for not seeing this sooner. I don't know why. I'm really not getting everybody's notifications either. Or I'm getting so many notifications that I'm missing some. I'm not sure. Probably the latter. So anyway, I was tagged and I'm doing it now. This is the 16th and I just saw that this morning, so I thought I'd do it right away. And I have a variety of stuff I've made laid out just for eye candy, I guess, or I'll talk about some of them later as we go. So the first question is, there's 10 questions, the first one is, what is your name? My name is Deb Houck. Haha, surprise. Actually, my full name is Deborah, D-E-B-R-A, not Deborah, or Deborah. It's Deborah. And honestly, when I was young, I hated my name, and I wanted to change it to my middle name, which I won't go into. But, you know, it is my name. It is what it is. And my brother and I, were named such that we both had the same initials when, obviously, before I had a married name. Okay, so anyway, that's it. Deb Houck is what I go by. And I prefer Deb over Debbie. I prefer Deb over Deborah, because that used to be the name I got scolded with when I was young, so I don't tend to like that one. Anyway, and sometimes it was Deborah with my middle initial. Yeah, so Deb, please. Deb Houck. Okay, how did I come up with my YouTube name? Well, when I first started YouTube, it was just Deb Houck, because I was just watching probably for many years prior to actually making a video, and I watched a variety of stuff, probably mostly music before crafting, and other videos, but I think mostly music before I started crafting. And then I started, my first video was January something, like 20 something, I think, or 17th, I forget exactly, of 2017. And I've said this before, if you've been with my channel for a while, my first video was to share a pocket letter that I had received from Misty, who is on YouTube now as Mac Jewelry and More. She used to have another channel, but something happened to it. She's had troubles with YouTube. Anyway, she and I did a pocket letter swap back when pocket letters were all the rage. And other than planning, which I started in late 2016, that was my first intro to paper crafts, okay? Was doing that pocket letter with her. Okay, so what is my favorite? Oh, so anyway, I missed part of that. So it was Deb Houck. Somewhere along the line, I think when I became a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, or it might have been before that, actually. I think it was before that. I decided that didn't tell what I did at all, or what my videos were about. So I added Crafty Cottage onto it. I didn't want to take off the Deb Houck because everybody identified me with that, because that's who I am. But Crafty Cottage came about because A, I live in a cottage, and B, I guess I'm somewhat crafty. I didn't used to be, and we'll get into that in a minute. So that's how I got Deb Houck's Crafty Cottage. And it's unique. Nobody could steal it, because there's not another Deb Houck's Crafty Cottage. There is another well, there used to be another Deb Houck. And she actually was my sister-in-law at one point. But her last name changed when she got married. So anyway. Okay, what is my favorite craft? That is really, really, really hard for me. I have to break it into at least 2 main areas, and one would be jewelry making, and one is paper crafting of all kinds, but especially lately card making. And then maybe it's a few areas. And the third area is mixed media. I like doing stuff, you know, like backgrounds and just different things. This is an index card I made recently that was supposed to go to somebody and I never got it out the door. Anyway, I like doing mixed media. I like sometimes participating in mixed media prompt sessions, and every now and then I like to challenge myself and get into things I've never done before, and you've got a couple examples of those here. So I'm torn between those, and I try and bounce back and forth between them. You know, most of you know now I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, so I've been doing a lot of cards and paper crafts related to cards. And I really like them because I think each little card or each little index card or each item is a little piece of art. Now that said, I in no way, never will be construe myself as an artist. I don't feel I'm of that caliber. I've never been trained in that. In fact, when I was in school, high school and college, I was not deemed to be on the artistic scale anywhere, okay? I could not paint, I could not draw, I still can't. My brother got the drawing gene. He used to be able to draw great pictures, mostly stuff he liked, like cars and things, but anyway. My mother used to, oh, I'm getting ahead of myself, but anyway. So my favorite crafts are paper crafting, jewelry making, and sometimes altering things. Okay, my favorite crafty supplies. Ugh. Okay, in jewelry making, I'd have to say all my pliers, and I've shown them on a fairly recent jewelry tutorial of sorts, which was like my 10 best tools that I use. So watch that if you haven't seen that. And in paper making, I can't live without my art glitter glue, which I keep in here. It's my favorite glue. I probably couldn't live without my Big Kick machine or a similar die cut machine. Couldn't live without a paper trimmer. Paper, designer paper. Oh my gosh. Paper and cardstock. Love, 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 love. Just as I'm obsessed with beads and wire in jewelry making too. This is one of my favorite pieces I made. I'm obsessed with paper and designer paper and ribbon. That's a hard question. I don't have one favorite crafty supply. So anyway, top 5 YouTube channels. I don't know that I can answer this because okay, I don't know why my video stopped, but it did for some reason. So top 5 crafty channels. I started to say I don't think I can answer this. I have written down a few, but I really don't want to say my top 5 because honestly, they change. I'm watching some channels now that I never used to watch, and I used to watch a lot of jewelry channels, and now I don't watch as many of those, but I still watch them occasionally. Like Jill Wiseman comes to mind for bead weaving, but I haven't been watching her. I took a class with her once, and she is amazing at bead weaving. So if you ever have a chance to take a class with her, I would suggest it. So, but I go from like beginner crafters I like because sometimes they come up with really fresh ideas that people that have been doing this for a while maybe haven't thought of, and then or there's people that are new to YouTube but have been crafting for a while, and you watch them and go, wow, you know. And I have a few of those, and then I have some that I've been watching because they sell stuff and they make stuff, and they amaze me at their capabilities too. I have my favorite, what I'll call expert card makers too, and then there's mixed media. And so I I really don't want to say explicitly who my top 5 favorite channels are. And I also lately have been watching some favorite music channels. And I seem to be hooked on acapella right now, and I won't even go into who those channels are. But if you're interested, let me know and I'll tell you. So anyway, I have more than 5 favorite channels, and I really don't want to pinpoint any of them. So if you really want to know, email me and I'll tell you who my 5 or 7 or 10 favorites are right now. But I really don't want to do that because I don't want to hurt anybody that I still watch that can't fit into 5. Yeah, so I really don't want to answer that question. Sorry. Anyway, okay. Favorite colors. Well, if you've watched my channel at all, you know I love turquoise. I love turquoise, the gem, specifically Sleeping Beauty turquoise, but which is no longer being mined. But I love turquoise. I love it with silver. I love it with bronze. I love in jewelry. I love black spinel, onyx. I love sterling silver. I love black and silver. I love turquoise and silver. I actually love turquoise and gold as well. But I'm not a gold wearer so much. I do once in a while. In crafting, it's blues, like these soft blues. Love that silvers and blues together. Just love it. I love this like peacock color. I love peacocks, so I love the blue, purple, the teal, purple, green combo. I love, and bringing back childhood memories, I love pink and green. I'm sorry, pink and orange together. I know Tammy at My World in OKC loves pink and green together, and I love the pink and orange, and I love pink and mint also. Mint green is really pretty. So, and you know, I was thinking about it, and I actually love yellow too. I can't necessarily wear it well, but I think it's such a sunshiny, uplifting color, and so I like that too. I don't use it enough. I don't, like I said, wear it, but I used to have a kitchen painted in yellow and I loved it. Anyway, so, but turquoise is my all-time favorite, and most other blues or combinations of blues as well. And that seems to run in my family. My brother's favorite is blue also. Okay, or at least it used to be. Favorite craft tools. I think I talked about this a little bit earlier. In jewelry making, it's my pliers and my cutters. In crafting, it's probably my big kick and my trimmer, although I don't really have a favorite trimmer right now. I'm testing out Stampin' Up's new one. So supplies, I guess I should have just answered the paper and the beads. And when I was talking about crafty supplies for jewelry, when I said beads, specifically gemstone beads, I'm into gemstones, like gemstone rings. That got me really into my, that was one of the drivers behind it. I probably should have been a gemologist or a, oh gosh, my mind just went blank. The people that dig up the gemstones. I don't think I'm physically able to do that or wouldn't have been, but I really love gemstones. So that's my fave. Supplies, and then the tools are what you need to make them. The, you know, the pliers, bent nose pliers, chain nose pliers, round nose pliers, and your wire snips, different cutting tools, and then the wires and the stringing material, all that stuff, and ribbon. Love, no, that's supplies, never mind. Where do I get my love of crafting from? I would say my parents, both of them, because my dad didn't teach me to craft, but he was a carpenter contractor, so he had that kind of skill, the altering skill, and although he wasn't home a whole lot to teach it to me, when he was home working in the garage, he had sawhorses and stuff set up in our garage, and he built an addition on our house and stuff. I got to watch him do that stuff. So although I am not good that way at building or altering, I do have a little bit of technical skill, I'll call it. And that it's kind of funny. On one of my first dates I went on with a man, probably 12 years ago now or something, we went fishing. First time I'd been really fishing. I mean, I'd been fishing as a kid with my mom and my brother, but not like this. And when he was teaching me how to cast and everything, he said, "Whoa, do you know you have a little bit of technical skill there?" And I said, "Really?" So yeah, I do. I mean, I do. I have a little bit of inclination towards that. And then my mother, well, let me step back. As a child, we would get gifts, and I would get gifts like that. It was metal back then, it's plastic now, but those looms that make pot holders. I had a little spinning wheel, which I really wish I still had, because that would be worth so much. Plus, it just was something you don't see anymore. It was a plastic toy one, but it was a real working spinning wheel, and I had that. I probably had a few other things as well. And my mother used to oil paint. She would do paint by number, but then she got into other oil painting as well. And let's see, what else? Oh, and then as a teenager, I did cross stitch and latch hook and crewel embroidery. I made some pillows, I made some rugs. And I think I still have, my mother had kept one of the pillows I'd done, and I have that in one of my closets downstairs. I took out of her house recently. So I'd say from my parents. A lot of people say they're grandparents, but when I was 3 months old, my parents moved away from where my grandparents on both sides were, and they were about 3.5 hours from us. So I really only got to see them maybe once or twice a year as a child, so there wasn't a great influence there. It's very possible some of that skill in both of them was from their parents, and then it passed down to me. But honestly, after I was a teenager, I lost that ability, or I went a different direction. And looking back, if I had to do it all over again, maybe I wouldn't have gone the direction I did, but I did. And so anyway, here I am today. When did you start crafting? That kind of leads up to it. As a teenager, I guess, but then I'll just continue the story. I got married young, and anyway, I had to work. I had to work hard, and I also decided to go back to school. So I was raising a family, keeping an apartment or a home or a house at some point, and working full-time plus, because I actually moved up into management after several years of working, and going to school. And I had a lot of all-night projects for school and or work that I had to do. I pulled a lot of all-nighters. So I didn't have time to craft, and with all the work I was doing, I really wasn't of a mindset to even think about that. I think as my daughter became a teenager, I did a little bit. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I did sewing when I was in high school. We had home ec class back then. And I got away from that too, but when my daughter was in high school, she was in the color guard, and I had to sew her flags. And so I did get a sewing machine, and I did sew a little bit, but not like I had done in high school, where I made my own clothes and stuff when I was a teenager, some of them. So I think, I guess I started as a child, teenager, but then I probably worked my butt off, went to school a long time, did get my degree, worked my butt off some more, and probably for 40 years I didn't craft much at all other than helping my kids with school projects or something. So I didn't really get back into crafting until 2017. No, that's not true. 2011, my daughter gave me a jewelry making kit. I had taken a class on a weekend when I was home in between major travels and stuff. And I really loved it. It was an simple earring class. Really loved it. I love wearing jewelry, which you can't tell right now because I don't have any on. But I loved it. And I have a love of gemstones, which I mentioned earlier. So she got me a kit for Christmas. It's one of those ones you can get at Michael's. It comes with a pair of pliers and some beads and some stringing wire. And she also got me a Beading 101 book, which I still have. And it showed all the, not all, some of the different types of jewelry making and beading you could do. I took that, I really loved doing that. I made all the projects I wanted to in that, and it wasn't you have to make it this way. It was beads and ideas of what you could do with them, but then you did it on your own, and I thought, wow, this is fun. I really loved it. Those pieces look like crap when I look back on them, but hey, it was a start. So 2012 was sort of a transition year for me, 2012 and 13. Because the company I worked with at the time, who was in Texas, but in 2011 and 12, I was traveling more months out of the year than I was home. And so I was in hotels a lot. And I started to start my bead collection, if you will. I would go to Michael's on my travels when I was in Texas. I couldn't do that when I was overseas, but I would take a little tote or a small suitcase with me just full of bead supplies, and on weekends or Sundays anyway, when I was had free time, I would bead in the hotel rooms. So that started really my jewelry making is 2012. And then in 13, the company was sold. It split and it was sold, and it stayed in Texas, and they wanted all their people to be in Texas, and I didn't want to be in Texas, so we parted ways, and which was fine because I was about shot, you know. Anyway, talk about burnout, long story. Anyway, so I still did some consulting into 2013 for one of my bosses that actually went to a different company, and so I did some consulting work, but I was starting to really get into jewelry making, and that is the year I started Dahlia Designs, which is my teeny weeny small jewelry business, which is not doing anything right now, but I do have 3 craft shows coming up, and I do have an Etsy shop, but it's not been updated in 6 months or so. Anyway, I have to get a lot of stuff out there. I might wait now until after the craft fair, see what I have left, put some of it up on Etsy, etc. So that started Dahlia Designs, and I was doing a lot of craft fairs, setting up. I have a tent I bought, and tables and all that good stuff, tablecloths and rolling jewelry cases, all that stuff. I was doing a lot of craft fairs in 14, 15, and 16, those years, 2014, 15, and 16. And I was starting to get frustrated because in the craft fairs here, in most of them, there are so many jewelry makers that are all doing beading and bead weaving, and so it was hit or miss with these craft fairs, and I started to doubt my ability as a jewelry maker. I also felt frustrated, and one of my best craft fairs was a 2-day craft fair locally in the summer. And even though a couple years it poured and we got rained out one of the 2 days and it was muddy the next day and stuff, it was always good for sales for me, and they stopped doing it. And another one I had was a consignment holiday craft fair, and you left your pieces there for basically 2 weeks, and you had to work there only 2 days or nights or whatever. I had so much theft, it basically depleted any profits that I got from it. Pieces were missing because I would take a beginning inventory, ending inventory, and get the list that they said I sold, and things were missing. I couldn't afford to do it anymore because the table fees and things were so high, and then to have that theft, it basically ate my profits up. So I got pretty frustrated, and right now I had hoped that I could have gotten Etsy going, and I was really doing it for a lot, and now Etsy's changed rules, so I'm still a little frustrated, but I'm gonna, if I knew how to do my own website, I would do it. So if anybody would like to work with me on making my own website for jewelry pieces, I would love to learn how to do that and get out of Etsy. That's my one thing. The other thing is, I've decided at my age and being alone, I can't take that tent and set it up by myself and drag the tables and all the jewelry supplies and everything. It's just too hard on me right now by myself, and there's not anybody really that can help me all the time. So I'm only going to do indoor smaller craft fairs and try and get online going a little better. That's my goal, and I really still would like to do that. I have 3 craft fairs, small ones, this year. One of them is usually pretty good for me, and it's where my mother used to live in their community center. And the other ones I've never done before, so we'll see how they go. And they're small. One's a church, and I don't usually like doing church ones because I don't usually do well at those. And I even forget what the other one is now. Anyway, I have it written down, but they're all coming up the 26th, November 9th, and oh gosh, I think it's after I get back from on stage in November, the other one. So, oh no, it's December 1, I think. Anyway, so I just have those 3 this year. Okay, so that's a long story. Okay, what has been my favorite craft so far? Jewelry making and paper crafting. I don't know. I really think I would still enjoy cross stitch too, and I really loved doing these projects, but I don't gravitate towards that kind of thing. I have to have a push to get into those. So I'm going to stick with jewelry making and paper crafting. Very generic. I'm not even going to go into details of which, because anyway, you can see what I'm doing. I'm mostly doing cards and paper crafts lately. I love paper. I love gemstones and wire and stuff, so yeah. And then I'm supposed to tag 5 people, so I thought about this and I went to these channels. The people I would have tagged, some of them were already tagged and either have or have not done the videos, but I know they were tagged, so I'm not going to tag them again. You're not supposed to do that, but I checked these 5 channels and I don't think they were tagged, and if they were, I apologize. But you can or cannot do it as you see fit. First one is Metal Scrappin' Chick. Hi. I pick her because she does a variety like me. She does jewelry making and beading. She does card making. She has been doing cross stitch, so I admire that. So I picked her. So go check her out if you're not familiar with her. Linda Kaufman. She's recently new to me through Stamp Girl, and she's been doing a lot of card making. I believe she's also a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And I just recently found out she also knits, and she makes the cutest little, I call them beanie caps with little animals on the top, and they're adorable for, you know, toddlers and stuff. So go check out her channel. I'll have links to all these below. Crafting with Isabel Labori, one of my dear friends that I actually met in person, along with Judy Evans Parker, who was gracious enough to invite me. And we also did with Nadia C. I'm not going to tag Nadia. I don't know if she watches me often. I know she does sometimes, but Crafting with Isabel Labori, you're tagged, and Judy Evans Parker, you're tagged. And the last one I picked is Tanisha K. Fairly new to me, and I think newer to YouTube, but from the caliber of her projects, she has to have been crafting for a while because she does some beautiful things. And I watched one of her, I think it was No Paper Left Behind or something like that. And she did some amazing, amazing projects. I think that was the name of the collab. I could be wrong on that, so don't hold me to it. But go over and check out Tanisha K as well. So those are my 5. Metal Scrapping Chick, Linda Kaufman, Crafting with Isabel Labori, Judy Evans Parker, and Tanisha K. And hopefully they'll choose to do the videos also, because we'd love to learn more about you all. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. Sorry it's so long and I was long-winded, and now you know my life history and blah blah blah. So, alright, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye. Hugs, love, and peace.